What if you don't have enough to retire? Yeah, I'm a retirement planner. I help a bunch of people out. Every week, I got someone new with a different scenario. And I talk about in previous shows what the magic number and how much I hate that. But what if you actually don't have enough to retire? What are you going to do? What are your options? That's what we're going to talk about today. Speaking of not having enough to retire, let's bring in my co-host, Tony. Hey, welcome, Tony. So we're going to talk about not having enough. And you know how much I hate this idea of enough. But let's talk about it. Oh, Tony's muted. Should I unmute him? I don't think I want to unmute him. This has been great. Oh, that was the best intro you've had yet, Tony.
Yes. Oh, come on, Dan. Oh, that's funny stuff. Not having enough records, that's a problem. You can never have enough. You're not talking about records or vinyl. You're talking about money for retirement.
It could be one and the same in your case, Tony. If
That's
you don't have
true.
enough to retire, you're selling those records.
Right.
All right, that's the end of the show for you.
Yeah.
But what about the rest of the people out there that are listening saying, I don't have enough. What am I going to do? What do you think they all say? Most of them say. When they feel they don't have enough. I'll keep working.
I'm going to work until I'm 75. I don't need a retirement plan. I'm going to keep working.
Right. That's the default. I'll just work until I die.
Which is funny because man plans, God laughs. That's the quote I think of, because you don't get to choose necessarily. I mean, you might make it till 70. You might only make it till 62, and then you get laid off or your health goes bad, right?
Layoff would be a bad one for someone that can't afford to retire, and then they get laid off.
Yeah.
But
some federal employees might be in that situation.
Well, I want to talk about, I want to talk about what are some options. But before we get into it, there's a good question you got to answer first. And that is, are you sure? Are you sure you don't have enough to retire? Because Lord knows I run into countless people that don't think they have enough. And then when I do the math and I tell them they do, they're surprised. Some don't believe it.
Right.
Some celebrate. Some get this sense of relief. But I will say most people that I meet with, and these aren't all clients, prospective clients come in, they want to get my opinion. And whether the opinion is you don't have enough, or you have to work another 3 years, or you're never going to retire, whatever I say, the majority of the people afterwards say, I feel so much more relieved because now they know. So that has to be the first thing you answer is, are you sure?
Are you sure?
So what are we talking about though? The magic number, which we just did a show on, Tony, which is nonsense.
Right.
There is no magic how much you need. And that's the first problem. What you have to do instead is solve for income.
Yeah.
When you go to Publix or the grocery store and you go to pay, when you check out, they say, give me money. They don't say, what do you got in your 401k? They say, I need money now. And that's the same when you retire. It doesn't matter what you have in your 401k. It's what you have to pay the bills, right? So you have to solve for the income gap, right? And the income gap is very simple, Tony. I know you don't like math. It's you take how much income you're going to have in retirement, which for many people can only be Social Security. They don't have a pension. But if you have a pension, you add that and you say, all right, this is what I got coming in. Here's what I spend. Little side note, that's the hardest question for people to answer. They have no idea what they spend. They have no idea how much they spend now, and they don't have any idea what they're going to spend in the future. So you can't answer the question unless you first tackle that. So maybe that should be the pre-question. How much are you spending every month? How much do you need in retirement, right? So you figure out what you got, how much you're spending, and there's a difference. That's called the income gap. You got to add inflation in there to your spending. And that's it. And so once you find that, then it's like, okay, now I can start to answer, can you retire? Because if the income gap is $1,000, I'm $1,000 short, what are you going to do? Yeah. Keep working forever? Or start using your savings to fill the income gap? People kind of get that, generally speaking. They understand they got to use their savings.
Right.
although they don't like to. They don't
Right.
like to use those things.
But I think the reason people think they don't have enough is because, and sometimes they do, is because of, and we're not going to get into it again, like you said. The reason they think that is because of those articles that say you need a million 1.5 million to retire.
Right.
Yeah.
Or right. You need 80,000 if you live in California.
A year. You
Who
need
says this?
$80,000 a
Right.
year to live.
Yeah, right. No, it's nonsense. You have
Yeah.
to do it for yourself, and it's
Yeah.
hard work. And people don't want to do hard work a lot of times, and they're afraid to know what the answer because they're afraid they might not be able to retire. So they just don't do anything, and then they keep working, or they wing it, and that's when problems start. So what you do is you find out, all right, I need 1,000 a month, and then you match your investments that you have. Hopefully, if you don't have any investments, you don't have any savings, and all you have is Social Security, and you have an income gap, well, you're in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
odds are you have something saved, and then you have to match that pool of money for savings in some sort of investment plan
Yep.
that gives you the income you need. You need a retirement income plan, right? So let's say you go through all of that. And we've done shows on how to do that and different tactics and strategies. But let's say you go through that and you still don't have enough. What now? So that's what I want to talk about. There's a few strategies. What now? So don't skip ahead to this part. If you've listened and you don't know how much you're going to spend and you don't know whether or not you have an income gap, then you can't start thinking about these things because you're not even there yet.
You
You
can't start
first need
here.
to you can't. You need to know your numbers for certain before you start adjusting and looking and thinking about these strategies. You have to, right?
But to know your numbers for certain, and then to get these strategies in place, isn't the answer just really simple? Just pick up the phone and call Dan Wendell. I mean, does that solve
It
it?
is. You work with a certified financial planner, someone that specializes in retirement that will help you because it is kind of complex and you don't want to do it more than once. But a lot of times you could just look at your credit card statement. A lot of people just put everything on a credit card and pay it off every month. There's your magic number right there. How much you spend every month. And then you could do some math. But yeah, this is what I do all day. So I'm not saying it's easy, but this is what I do. So it's easy for me. But yeah, from someone on the outside, they freeze up. But before you jump to these strategies, make sure you're not, because I'll tell you what, Tony, a lot of people come in and they can retire and they don't even know it. I tell them you can do it, and they're like, oh. So then we don't have to do any of this, right? So let's talk about what this is. What's next? The first thing, and these are in no order, you can adjust your risk. And what I mean by that is, all right, Tony, let's imagine you're retiring and you're short 1,000. And you're like, I have 100,000 saved. And I have it at my bank and I'm getting 0.2% interest on it. I'll run out. I'm going to run out of money. And I say, well, what if we invested that money and got 5% return or 6% return or 10% return? That changes whether or not you run out. And you say, Tony, no way. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not taking risk.
No.
I'm not. I'm just not going to. I won't accept that.
Right.
So you have to think, all right, maybe I need to be more risky in order to pull this off. But if you can't handle that, then we have to go to a different tactic.
I'm risk averse.
You're risk averse. A lot of people are that way.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's out for some people. I'm not willing to take
as you
that
can
risk.
see behind me, Dan, I like tangible things. I
see it as
want
more.
to own it.
I see it more as a childhood problem or you're living in the 80s.
Hey, I'll take the childhood problem thing. Let's nip that in the bud right now. That's not happening. That's not the issue here. The living in the 80s, you might have hit the proverbial nail on the head there. Yeah. Yeah, I never left the 80s. I don't know if that's a problem or not, but
that's okay. I love it. As long as you accept that. No, so you can adjust your risk, and then the issue with that is, all right, I need to take more risk. I've never done that. I don't like it. um what if it doesn't work? And then they freeze up again. So that's one strategy, though. You can take more risk and pull it off, but again, you got to be willing to realize it could go against you. So the second thing you could do is accept the tools and strategies that are presented. So I'm talking about, I come up with solutions all the time that people just hate. They will refuse. For instance, Tony, one of the more popular shows we've done is, hey, I'm going to spend down almost all of my retirement savings so I can delay Social Security till 70. And if I do that, the math shows that at 70, my Social Security income is well above what I need to live, and the cost of living adjustments are going to keep up with inflation. So I just got to get to 70, but I am not willing to do that because my nest egg will go from 200,000 down to 20,000, and I can't do that. So the math shows it on the table that it will work if you use Social Security in a way that will protect you for the rest of your life. But to get there, you're going to have to give up control of your asset and spend down your asset. Some people can't accept that.
Yeah.
They just won't accept it.
Yeah. That's tough. I mean, adjust your lifestyle. That's hard. So many people nowadays, lifestyle creep is so real with advancing
Right.
technology and things costing more money. People are just like, well, to keep up with the average person, I've got to have the highest speed internet and pay for that. I've got to have all these streaming services. I got to have the latest phone. We get caught up in lifestyle creep. So, lower your retirement lifestyle. I see you have that listed, and I just like,
That's you
I get
skipping ahead.
I get
That's biggie,
scared.
Tony.
I get
You're,
scared. I know I skipped ahead, but I
that's
saw
the
that.
least. That's
I
the
got
answer, though.
scared. Yeah, that's
So
the answer probably. But working a little longer might be good. But again, you don't. So many people delude themselves by saying, "I'm going to work until I'm 70." Um,
right.
Hopefully that works for you. I love my job. I want to keep my job as long as my voice holds out. I say that a lot on the show, but it's true. As long as my voice holds out and I can use my voice, I can keep doing this job. And my wife and I are like, that's great. We'll have that income. Well, my employer might not like that. They might want somebody younger in here or a younger voice, and then my health might not cooperate. So those are two biggies, layoff and health, that I think people. I just want to go back to that because, it sounds like common sense. Well, that's just common sense. Yeah, but people. It's one of those common sense things that people push away. They don't address that's a
They don't.
reality. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a scary. That's not truly retire. That's a forced retirement. We're not talking about
Yeah.
that. We're
Yeah.
talking about people that want to retire
Yes.
and say they
And
can't afford
can't.
it.
Yeah. So then you keep
So,
working or
well,
you
you can keep
reinvest.
working, but
Yeah.
I don't like that. No one likes that, to keep working. And when I say keep working, you're not working just because you want to keep working. You're working so you can save more, so that you can eventually retire. I mean, if you got there are people that just keep working because they like it, and that's fine. They're not. That's not what this show's about. It's about doing something different, not working in the current capacity. What did our parents do? What did the older generations do? They worked until they met their pension required age. Then they turned on their pension and they were fine, right? And so that's going back to accepting the tools and strategies. That's like Social Security. I don't accept your delay Social Security strategy, Dan. I don't like it. Or Dan, I'm not taking the pension, or I won't recreate a pension. I'm not going to. So here's a solution, Tony. What if you took your savings and bought a lifetime guaranteed income annuity? You're giving up control, giving your money to the insurance company, and you're getting enough to satisfy what you want, and you can live, and it works. The math works. People don't like that either. They don't like to give up their asset to get a lifetime income stream. They like the concept of having that income stream that's guaranteed, but they don't want to actually go and do it. It's like, oh, you know what? I really want to go swimming. I love it. And then when they get to the pool, they're like, oh, it's freezing, and they don't jump in. Right? They're just like, oh, I'm out. It's weird how people
Yeah.
don't accept the tools that are
right.
available to them. Because then it's okay, you don't want to do that. Well, then we're going to take this risk. Well, I don't want the risk either. Well, okay.
Got to do
Then you're going to
something.
have to work longer, right?
Yeah, you got to do something. You have to. I mean, it's more than likely, Dan. Isn't it going to be a combination of these things that would work the
Should be.
best? Like do some of
Correct.
each, right?
Correct. My
Yeah.
general philosophy is you retire as soon as you can, as early as you can, and have comfortable numbers with the least amount of risk. So I'm not trying to get people to take more risk because I'm risk averse for my clients. Most people are. But if you want to retire at 58, maybe we're going to have to, you don't want to be all under the pillow, but you can't have it all raging in the Bitcoin market, right? So you have to have a balance. But finding that balance is different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Working maybe an extra year so you can qualify for the pension, or working 5 more years. It doesn't, it's everyone's different, but a lot of people don't know of the tools, they don't
Mm-hmm.
know of the strategies. And so when they hear it, they back off. Some people love it. But what I'm saying is you either have to adjust your risk, use some tools to do it, work longer, save more, or the one that fits the mold for everybody, Tony, is if push comes to shove, and I mean, even if we put all my money into a lifetime annuity, even if I delayed Social Security to 70, even if I took Social Security at 62, even if I got married and had another person's income, I can't retire. The math doesn't work. Then what do you do, Tony?
Right.
The bottom line is you got to adjust your lifestyle. You have to live on less. You have
Oh,
to stop buying
Dan.
records. You have to graduate from electric light orchestra and move to something more modern, like Taylor Swift.
Oh
Um,
no. Ouch. These are all very hurtful right now. This is super hurtful, Dan.
I can't even say that with a straight
Remember,
face.
Dan, I have your home address. You know that, right? I mean, you're saying these things knowing that I know where you live. Yeah. Yeah.
So really, there's no magic bullet on this one, but I think always the easy, not the easiest, the most obvious thing, Tony,
Mm-hmm.
is I can't afford to retire. Well, that's because your lifestyle is a little bit bigger than your britches. You need to adjust your lifestyle if all the other things don't work. If all the other tools and your savings aren't adding up, which again brings me back to the other point. You need to know that first
Mm-hmm.
before you say I'm going to have to eat tuna fish cans for the rest of my life.
Right.
Cat food. No, do the math. And if it
Mm-hmm.
says that, then maybe, yeah, you have to adjust your lifestyle. You don't skip ahead. I know you got something up
You're
your
not,
sleeve.
nope, you're not taking these records.
For
You're
the
not
listeners
taking
on
these records.
iTunes or Spotify, Tony
Oh
is
no.
hugging his LPs that are still in the
Oh
plastic
no.
casing.
Yeah,
Oh,
no. These are protective sleeves. I've opened them. Yeah, don't worry.
no.
I've opened them. Oh, you'll have to pry those from my cold dead hands.
See, Tony, you're a prime example. You probably have enough to retire if you sold your LPs, but you just
Yeah.
don't realize it, right? Um, some tools like selling your LPs or getting delaying Social Security or
Hmm.
working an extra a year, they aren't liked. People don't like them. They don't like to hear it.
Right.
But
Right.
I sometimes am the bearer of bad news, but I'd rather be the bearer of bad news than walking past people whistling past the graveyard or with their head in the sand, just saying, all right, I'm just going to have to keep working
No, that's
and
another
complaining.
beauty. Right there is why people have to work with somebody like yourself, a trusted financial services professional. If you're not already, do it. And even if you are and you don't have you're still concerned, get a second opinion. And Dan, I know you love
Yes.
hearing from our listeners because um, working with them will help you see these things. You're not
Yes.
going to whistle past the graveyard or keep your head stuck in the sand. You're very transparent. Like, here's where you're at. And so a lot of people, it's going to be a pleasant surprise. Like, oh, if I do this and this, I can retire when I want.
Yes.
Right. And some
Right.
are going to
Right.
say, hey, I want to retire now. I've got to work 5 more years. We're going to put a plan together, and in 5 years, I'll be fine. I just have to make it
Right.
5 more years or 2 more. Maybe it's 2 more years. Right. So,
Right. That's it.
and as you get
It
older, those years go by like this, Dan. As
they
you're
do.
not old like me, but I'll tell you.
You got to plan for it. You got
Yeah.
to. So why not? And getting a second, great idea, Tony. So for instance, like the solution for you might be you have to wear noise canceling headphones for the rest of your life, and you can't or we have to take away your hearing so that you'll eventually sell your records to live, right? You'll probably get a second opinion from someone if some financial guy said, yeah, we're going to have to take away your hearing.
Yeah.
Same with, so when you go to a financial person, they say, keep working or delay Social Security or take it early or whatever they come up with, go get a second opinion because it's your retirement. You only want to do it one time. And if you don't like what they're saying, get it. Now, if you get multiple people, like myself, that says, yeah, I've tried this, I can't make it work, you're going to have to change your lifestyle. If you get multiple people doing that, then that's when you have to self-reflect and say, yeah, maybe I do spend too much, or maybe going on those multi-thousands of dollar cruises every year for the next 20 is not in the cards. But
right. You might have to adjust your retirement plans. Yeah.
Right.
Get a professional opinion.
Bottom line, don't ignore it out of fear of what you might hear.
Right. Makes sense.
That's it, Tony. So, yeah, you're not going to retire. That's the bottom line for you. But, you've been having a good run and you're liking your job. You say you do. I think that's just you justifying not having any savings and living by the seat of your pants, buying records. And
where did that come from? Oh my goodness.
I kid, Tony. Thanks for being a good sport, and thank you for another good show. We'll catch everyone next week.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Riddle nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.